I had a comment in one of my videos recently that really got me thinking, and this was actually on an older video. Back when I first started this channel, I had noticed that there was a distinct lack of talk about how to save money on the carnivore diet. In fact, I have likened the carnivore diet and the carnivore community in jest as the cult of the ribeye, because if you pay attention to all the high-profile influencers, you'll notice something, a common thread, and that's they're generally people of means, and so they can afford to eat nothing but ribeye steaks if they so choose every day of the week. And there's a simple reason for why they do that, in addition to the fact that ribeyes are quite delicious. It's because they have a pretty favorable fat to protein ratio. In fact, some have said it's the ideal fat to protein ratio. But you may have noticed that ribeyes are, a little expensive. I saw at the store recently that at Walmart, which is the big national grocer near me, we actually, in the state of Oklahoma, there's a rather distinct lack of the big national grocers. You don't find a Safeway here or Kroger of any kind. It's kind of odd. We have Walmart and Aldi as our national grocer chains. But I noticed at Walmart that the ribeye steak price for the USDA choice, which is probably the cut most of you are buying, had gone up by $1 a pound. I'm not surprised by this. I'm the one who has been doing videos periodically warning you that in 2023 you can expect a 20% increase in the price of your beef. A dollar or $14 to $15 a pound for a choice ribeye at my local Walmart doesn't account for even 10% price increase yet. But, 2023 is still young. And that really gets me thinking. This whole problem really gets me thinking, and that's the kind of a myopic view of how we should be eating on the carnivore diet. And I don't mean the only eating ruminants issue. I will never countersignal that. Only eating ruminants maybe, but as like the foundation of your diet, 90% of what you eat being red meat, whether it's beef or lamb, I will never countersignal that because that's the most nutritious food on the planet. It really is, at least for human consumption. It is the most nutritious thing we can eat and eat safely. But I'm curious, let me know in the comments, are you almost put off by the carnivore diet or find it hard to do because of how expensive it is if you believe you should only eat ribeyes? Because you don't need to do that. There are plenty of people who eat predominantly ground beef at $2.99, $3.99, $4.99 a pound. I've done numerous videos on alternative cuts that are cheap. Some people don't like when I do that because sometimes those have bones in them, and they go, well, you're paying for bones, so you're not getting that much meat. Bones are a good thing, actually. You can make bone broth out of them. And I'm bringing this up now because for religious reasons, I'm Catholic, and I'll be doing Lent for the next 40 days, and I don't like ground beef. I personally don't like the way it tastes and the mouthfeel of it. I've learned to cook it properly, and I still don't care for it. But I'm going to be eating predominantly ground beef for the next 40 days. And there are plenty of carnivore diet people who do that, who eat ground beef every day. Go look at the Carnivore Quest channel. They eat ground beef all the time. They've lost a ton of weight and maximized their health. Props to them over there at that channel for doing it. If you're not familiar with their work, go check them out. But I'm curious for you, so let me know in the comments. Do you eat predominantly ground beef and cheaper cuts of beef? There's, again, this myopic view that, just eat, fatty red meat and you'll be okay. And, well, the fattiest cuts are the most expensive, either price per pound, like the ribeye or the New York strip, or just because of the size of the cut. Like, for instance, the absolute fattiest cut of beef you could probably buy that isn't ground is going to be like a brisket. And you can often find brisket for $2.99 a pound, $3.99 a pound sometimes. But the problem is it comes in 15 to 20 pound roasts. And properly cooking a brisket can only be done really either in a charcoal grill or something like that, or slow cooked in your oven or in a crock pot. I don't know if I've ever seen a crock pot that can handle like a 20-pound brisket. Granted, I have a 7-pound brisket in my freezer right now, so I know that the smaller ones exist. But even at, $5 a pound, which is, I think, the price right now since we're not in barbecue, typical what normal people consider barbecue season, at $5 a pound, a 7-pound brisket is going to cost you $35. And granted, you're going to get a lot of meals out of that thing. You're probably going to be tired of brisket by the end of it. But a lot of people, that's still a daunting price. So I'm curious, are you in that boat? Especially, we don't hear so much about inflation anymore. It almost feels like it hasn't leveled off yet, but it's not as pressing as it had been a year ago, which is a good thing. But look, we're either in a recession or possibly heading towards one. And I know a lot of people have this, on their mind of how are they going to afford to continue their diet. And so we're going to give you a couple principles here. Remember about the carnivore diet. The idea that it is by definition an expensive diet is not true. You save money by not buying, all the soft drinks you used to buy and all the stuff from the produce section and the bread aisle and all the middle parts of the store. And if you're coming in from keto, you're still, avoiding the produce sections and most of those condiments and other things that you use to dress up your food. You're not buying giant bags of macadamia nuts anymore. If you're doing carnivore, you're just buying beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. That's it, basically. Of course, salt, lots of salt. So you're saving money on the back end. But you run into the problem where, if you're eating 2.5 pounds of meat a day and you're trying to do it with nothing but ribeyes because your favorite carnivore influencers told you to eat nothing but ribeyes, well, you're going to be spending $35, $40 a day on your food. And that's a daunting price. You may not think that's much, but if you're doing $30 a day over the course of a 31-day month, you're looking at close to $1,000 in steak every single month. Most people can't afford that. Most people live in the real world where they have other pressing financial costs. And most people can't afford to do what I did, which is I shelled out just under $2,000 for a full cow that I still have most of sitting in my freezer. In fact, I bought that cow. It came with 120 pounds of ground beef, and I wish I'd gotten more of it in the hamburger patties than I did. Hindsight being what it is, I'm going to see if I can next time get half of it in patties, because for whatever reason, hamburger patties are a little easier for me to get down than ground beef is. But of the 120 pounds of ground, I think I had 100 pounds of it as just ground beef, little flats of ground beef that are in my freezer. And at $4.50 a pound, that's not a great price for ground beef, but that's a fantastic price for New York strips and ribeyes and things. Most people can't afford to buy a full cow, because when you buy a full cow, you also need a big freezer or two to store the thing. I know this from experience. And a lot of people will still find that chuck roasts are too expensive, even though they're one of the cheaper, fattier, and collagen-rich cuts you can buy. And so you're looking for ways to save money. Are you in that boat? Are you one of the ones who finds this a daunting diet simply because everyone tells you eat nothing but ribeyes, $15 a pound, $1,000 or more a month, depending where you're buying it? And I know, granted, you can stock up on your ribeyes, you can hit the markdowns, you can save money there, but sometimes those markdowns aren't there. And I wouldn't count on those sales this summer because, yes, there will be meat sales, but they're not going to look like last year. I suspect you're not going to see too many $4.99 a pound or $5.99 a pound ribeye sales. And if you see them, get them while you can. I'm curious, though, what is your experience with hearing, are there points you have, questions you have about the carnivore diet that you want some of the medical experts to acknowledge and no one acknowledges them? Let me know in the comments. Is there financial realities to this that very few of us are willing to talk about? Let me know in the comments. We're not, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not saying they are either. When you run a YouTube channel with, 1 million subscribers or something, it's going to be hard to notice everything. Anyway, let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help, as does sharing this on social media. That helps a lot too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore, and thanks for tuning in today.